Okay, welcome back. We're still on page 54 talking about why it's important to know how you got infected. So an after action, some sort of an event occurred and now you need to go look at it. So what should I do? Should I upgrade my perimeter defense? Should I go in and do a firewall tweak? Should I make a policy change to not allow something? Or maybe I should just discipline an employee for not following the rules. Maybe I allow employees to bring flash drives. And I tell them, well, now you can make sure you have to scan it first before you do anything. And they go, yeah. Well, so maybe it's just disciplining the employee. Cool. Okay, so there's a thing called a decoupled vector. Sometimes the malware writer writes into the malware how to get from point A to point B. Okay, that was very common. Like I'm going to enumerate all of the network devices and I'm going to go find one that has an open share, then I'm going to copy myself to there, that kind of stuff. But quite frankly, today that's actually kind of rare, because today it's all about tricking you clicking on something on a URL from a web page or clicking on an attachment from an email. That's the game. A pop-up message or a URL or an email attachment. So most of them are decoupled. In other words, the virus doesn't participate on how it got there. It didn't like contact a web service, right? It's just out there, and you are the ones that clicked on it. So it can be smaller now. The malware can be smaller because it's not responsible for replicating itself. It's just expecting you to have bad behavior. Okay, so physical media, page 55. This was a common thing back in the day for the traditional file infectors. But, because the traditional file infector doesn't have a vector at all. I mean, I guess you could call it decoupled, because, you walked around with a floppy drive. You were the vector, right? You were the vector. And you plug things in. Now, let me give you a crazy example. I heard a story where this company was hired to break into a bank, as a pen test, right? Not something illegal. And they did a pretty good job. I mean, the bank. And they couldn't, figure out how to get in. They couldn't break through their perimeter defense. Couldn't get anybody to, click on some goofy shit in an email, right? So they finally said, well, okay, we admit defeat. We did a bad job. We tried really hard. You guys are great. You get an A+ for your security. And so they went to the break room of the bank and put a little punch bowl out there with thumb drives in it, saying, hey, thanks for, helping us secure your system. And they walk off and left. And the drives had malware in them. And somebody plugged it in to their work computer sitting at a teller's desk. And they got in. Yep. So all that was a ruse about, oh, you guys made an A+. You can relax now. No, you can. First of all, you can never relax. That should be fairly obvious. And there was another one where in some place in the Middle East where, some soldier found a thumb drive in the parking lot. And he went to a secure facility and plugged it in. Like, oh, first of all, remember we talked about maybe disciplining an employee or making a policy change would be good. These people need to be fired, or at least demoted or fined or something. Okay, so it's kind of sort of important to understand how that works. Okay, so continuing on, email as a vector. So access, maybe your malware is not email aware at all. It just, something shows up in an attachment, you click on it, and the email doesn't care. Other malwares actually use the email client for propagation. In other words, they're not decoupled. It will crack open your, let's say Outlook, and look at your contact list, and then it will send itself to all the people on your list, making it look like it came from you, of course. And so this is kind of like a social engineering thing. If I get an email from somebody like, hey, I haven't heard of Bob in years, and what's he doing sending me this thing? I guess I'll click on it and see. Oh, no. Even if you know the person, maybe you you get emails from them every single day. Well, if there's an attachment there, I want you to stop and think before you click. Even if it's somebody you know, please. Okay. And we talked about, the targeted versus opportunistic attack. I get an email from a bank that I do have business with. So let's say I bank with Wells Fargo, and I get an email from Wells Fargo. I'm going to go, ah. But if I get one from Chase Bank, I'm going to go, delete, right? So again, you have to be the one that's vigilant on this thing. And let me tell you, a lot of people had this thing drilled in their mind. Don't click on attachments, right? And a lot of executives, they go, yeah, I got it. Look, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to click on an email attachment if I don't know for sure what it is. And I'm not going to click on URLs on web page, sketchy web pages. But did you know there was a social engineering attack where they sent this guy, a CEO, a cardboard box in FedEx, okay? That had some promotional material and a USB drive. And he went, oh, this is professionally done. It's from a company I recognize. I'll plug the USB drive in. Well, it wasn't from that company. All their promotional material looked legit. The return address on FedEx looked legit, but it was not. See how social engineering, you were conditioned to not click on attachments and not click on URLs, but no one reminded you that, oh yeah, by the way, just because you got a thumb drive from somebody else, doesn't mean you should trust it. Kind of cool, huh? Okay, let's continue. So, this is an old one, the I love you letter. This was a Visual Basic script that did that. It launched in the email client of the day, and it would look at their distribution list and send this to everyone else. And so kindly check the love letter coming from me. Even if, well, first of all, that sounds pretty damn sketchy, but hey, in the early days, it didn't take much to fool people. And you might go, somebody loves me? My God, I'm married. I want to see who the hell this is. So you click on the thing. So now you're done, right? So that's a classic example. And here's another one, by the way, please fill in the attached file to get we tried to deliver your package. Okay, but look, who's it really from? Is it from somebody from FedEx? You can kind of look at that and go, no, it's not really from FedEx. So most people can figure this out. And of course, there's a zip file in here. So you click on this guy and then bam, you are infected. Okay, continue on talking about internet relay chat and those kind of instant messaging. Again, on page 57, this is getting kind of old, but back in the day, Windows, instant messaging was really cool, and internet relay chat was basically what you did before you had cell phones with text. And so internet relay chat, I still kind of sort of use it. I know some companies that still use, the messaging thing. You've seen this before at a tech support site where you pop up this little thing in the corner where you can type, carry on our conversation with the guy, right? So they could have in-app ads, and anytime you have an ad that's being delivered to you from a third party, there's always a risk, even if it's a reputable company like AdChoice, because they have been fooled a lot. They make an agreement with somebody, they think they trust them, and then they, not AdSense, but the third party sneaks in something. Now, AdSense is going to be quickly shutting them down. They're going to say, oh, bullshit. You violated our terms of service, you're out of here, dude, you're banned. But it's too late. Okay. Attachments inside these things, and again, can you tell me for absolute certain that tech support chat thing is secure? What if you asked them, hey, by the way, is this chat secure? They're going to go, hell, I don't know. I'm sitting in some sweatbox in India. I have no idea any of the technology. I'm here just to answer questions. And so, right? There's no way to know. Okay. So, what about video? What about Skype and Zoom and Teams? Can you share things on those platforms? Well, we use Teams a lot at the university. Can I send you an attachment on Teams? Can I send you a little text message while the video conference is going on? I can type in, I believe you did this, or something that, and maybe I do an attachment. So here's how you do this. Does that work? Yeah. Do you trust the people in your team? Everyone who's on Teams? I hope so. Right? Social networking. This is a big topic, and we are going to go over this in a lot more detail on page 58. So, posting is messages, photos, attachments, those kinds of things. It takes advantage of this whole concept of trust. So here's a crazy one. This happened. So there's a video of bin Laden getting killed, but for some reason on Facebook, well, for some reason they didn't just post the video. They gave you a JavaScript to run, and a lot of people went, "Oh man, I want to see that." So let me copy that JavaScript, paste it in the address bar, and hit enter to load. Wow. I mean, this was more complicated than just doing most of the time. These things were just, a hyperlink, a URL you clicked on, right? But this one was more complicated, and the fact that he made it complicated fooled a lot of people. Now, I'm kind of surprised, because I would look at that and went, you want me to type JavaScript on the command line at my browser? No. But, unless you're a professional, you have no idea what this thing is going to do. And so what it did is it went off to some other website, launched their website, and then was able to take advantage of you. Now, how easy is it to fake a friend on Facebook or something like that, or not just Facebook, for social media? How easy for me to send you a link saying, hey, here's the university's Flickr account. Are you sure? Are you sure it's the university's Flickr account? I mean, just because I told you it was and I sent you a URL? Are you sure? And then another one that I kind of think is cool is whenever you go to YouTube, and you have that little orange thing in the middle that says ready to watch a video. Oh, good grief! All right, never mind. My point was, if I took a screenshot of that with the little red triangle play button and told you this was a video, you would look at it and go, that's clearly a URL to a video. Is it? Maybe it's just a picture. And the URL has nothing to do with YouTube at all. So if you routinely get people sending you stuff, hey, click on this really cool YouTube video, even if it's like a thumbnail thing, you know what we're talking about. We're talking about the same thing, right? You use in class, right? Where you have a little thumbnail with a little red thing in the middle. If I copy that, just as an image and send it to you and said, click this, you probably would. Right? Okay, URL links, page 60. So there's a thing called infection vector hosting, okay? Basically what that means is you go to a website and it points you to some other website which is sketchy. The original website might be okay. Now, how did that URL get there? Well, there's lots of ways, but the most obvious one is ads. And again, you can how prevalent is getting a fake ad snuck in through a company like AdSense? It's a constant battle, I'm sure. So maybe it's a link to a zip file. And hey, because that's what we did, right? I told you to go to Canvas and go to supplemental materials and download a zip file. Then I told you to click on the zip file and extract the files. Is that safe? Well, no, but I told you to do it, so hopefully you trust me. And then malicious website hosting. Basically, I have an entire website whose sole purpose in life is to fool you. It's just a private website someplace out there that maybe looks like Facebook or looks like Instagram or looks like Flickr or whatever. Looks like. And then I point you there and you think you're logging into Facebook, but you're not. You're logging into mine. And when you log into my website, I can do anything I want with those credentials, okay? So malicious website hosting. Now, these can be easily shut down and detected. I mean, all you have to do is somebody goes, hey, what the hell? And then, the internet service provider will come back and say, oh, man, sorry, terms of service, you're out of here, dude. File shares, page 61. Back in the day, you had Napster and a few other things where you could just do public things. Now it's, it's just like OneDrive and GitHub and, all those Google Docs, those things. Same thing. It's just how you share things and how you make things public to others. So do I have a public-facing way to share files? Me, personally, no. I use my websites. That's what I do. Or if it's school-related, obviously I'm using, Canvas. But other people, yeah, here's my Google Docs. Yeah. I'd really want to know that was a person. Maybe they got infected, and maybe they're all good intentions, but somebody snuck something in behind the scenes. Okay, we're coming up on the 15-minute mark.